Exactly. In other words, you have to have the faith that all the great masters talked about. You have to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And if you could feel that feeling and feel as if it's happening now, it's a done deal. It's done. Act as if it's happened already. What would you do different? What are you doing differently now that it's happened? And then the universe works in ways to make it happen. It's incredible.
Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It is my pleasure to have Karen Noe with us. Karen is back. She was previously on episode 310. Now she's coming back to talk more psychic and spiritual topics with us. Karen is a renowned psychic medium, spiritual counselor, and healer with a 2-year waiting list. She is the author of We Consciousness, Your Life After Their Death, Through the Eyes of Another, and the Angel Quest Oracle Deck. Karen, it's so great to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
First of all, I'm curious to hear what you got about this, all these technical glitches and snafus that happened before we hit record. Took about 15 minutes to get going here.
Yeah, we were having a little problem getting on, but everything's for a reason. I'm not quite sure what it
That's
is.
right. Everything is for a reason,
Right?
and nothing's
Yeah.
wrong. What's your intuition tell you about why all this glitchiness?
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm more comfortable with Zoom, so maybe my higher self said, "Oh, I can't work with Riverside." I'm not sure, but as soon as I got on there were all I couldn't hear you, and see how our thoughts create our reality. So it could be that. I'm not sure.
That's funny. Yeah. So I don't know what it is either, but I do know that everything happens for our highest and best good. I'm very confident of that. So
Absolutely.
whatever that snafu was for our highest and best good. So,
Absolutely.
anyways, but we're talking now. I'd love to hear a little bit about what is topical and hot for you at this moment. You know, it's been several years since
Yeah.
we did our interview, and I'm curious to hear what's new and interesting from your perspective. It could be for you personally, it could be for your clients, it could be for the world, for your audience that you're reaching through podcast land. Yeah, what's hot?
There are many things since we last spoke. I am writing my next book. It's about the law of attraction, but creating from a higher consciousness to create change in the world. So that's, at the top of my list right now, to understand if we raise our vibration, not only could we create things in our lives, anything that we desire, but we can make the world a better place, which is even better yet, because if we're all connected, which we are,
Yeah.
whatever we do to ourselves or another affects everybody. And if we raise our consciousness, we could create a better world around us. We are all one. So that's what I'm doing. I also have done an Angel Quest Oracle deck since we last spoke. So that was exciting too, working with the angels. And that's been pretty popular. I've been traveling, teaching courses at Omega last week. And in 2 more weeks, I go back to Omega Institute. So
Mhm.
it's been a whirlwind, but it is wonderful. Trying to I'm trying to do my part in making the world a better place. We all can do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So the Angel Quest Oracle deck, how is this different from other angel decks? Like, for example, Kyle Gray has
Mhm.
several angel decks I quite like, and Doreen Virtue has some angel decks from years ago that she did. Like, what is it about well, first of all, what was the market opportunity or the reason for your angel deck before you even created it? And then what's its unique point of difference now that it's been created?
Sure. So I work with the angels all the time, and it's only love and light, and it's totally of God. So I said, okay, I'm going to be doing my own Angel Quest deck, my own angel deck. And I connected with an artist that I had been working with on previous books that I had. She did the cover. Her name is Marie Antoinette Kelly, the cover of my book, Your Life After Their Death, and some diagrams in that book as well. But what was different in this deck is that every single card, one day I'd say, okay, Archangel Raphael is here. And I would receive the message. And then I'd send this to her to depict what I was saying. So each and every card was co-created by both of us, the artwork and the message. Well, from what I hear from other card decks is somebody does all the artwork and then, or the messages, and then they try to put it together like that. So I hear from other decks. So no, this was a total 50-50 effort, connecting. She's very intuitive as well, and she connected that way with the artwork. So it was a wonderful project. Getting a lot of positive feedback from it.
So what would be an example of something that you got feedback wise?
Feedback from people who've used the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they love that. Every day I get a card. I start my day using these cards. They're so positive. They really resonate. They're bigger than most cards, than most angel decks. They're a little bit larger, easier to use for those who can't maneuver the cards, but they like the messages and they love the artwork as well. So I love the cards too. Hopefully I'll send you a copy.
Oh, I'd love that.
Send me just send me your address. I'll send
thank
you.
I much appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you working more with angels or more with spirit guides or more directly with God?
All of the above.
Do you differentiate or not?
Angels are God's messengers. So it's just like having the hands and the fingers on our body. It's part of our body. So it's the same. But it's all on a higher level of consciousness, God energy, love, peace, all of that. And again, the higher we go with ourselves, practice forgiveness, being more compassionate, seeing through the eyes of other people. All of that is who we really are, which God within us is only all of these qualities. And if we become more of who we really are, we become more intuitive. We feel the angels more and so forth.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of times I don't even ask, as long as they're divine and sacred. That's kind of like the gate that they have to go through in order to communicate with me. I don't want anything lower vibration than divine and sacred. But if it's angels or it's spirit guides or ascended masters or my higher self or God directly, it's all welcome, and I don't need to discern whether it's an archangel or it's an ascended master or whatever, or it's some combination or group of them.
Absolutely. I agree totally. It has to be of a higher consciousness. And then besides, when you turn on the light, the darkness goes away. So they wouldn't be attracted to us, anything of a lower. Does that make sense? If we're a high vibrating, we're trying to. I'm not perfect for sure. And I'm sure you're not perfect, but we try to resonate on the God consciousness, the higher levels of who we really are.
Yeah. And now you're working on a book about the law of attraction and how that vibrational frequency helps us to manifest more quickly or more effectively, or what's the angle on this that makes this
yeah, we all are able to create. I mean, every one of us, but most of us create by default what we don't want because we're vibrational beings, whatever we're thinking and feeling, more importantly, we're creating in our lives. And if we're loving people, we'll create loving people into our lives as well. You see, and when you realize we're like a magnet, and if something's going on in your life that's not resonating with who you really are, you could absolutely, there's something within you that's creating that, not on purpose, but maybe by default, such as if somebody says, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, and they keep saying that, they may create the very thing they don't want. The most important thing to do is to focus on what you do want, to focus on solutions. And what makes this book different is once we do that, the first part of the book is how to do that, how to create in your life. Because if you can't pay the rent, if you can't, if you don't have a job, if you don't have a relationship, you may not want to create better for the world. You want to make better for yourself. So I teach people how to make better for themselves. And then once we learn that, the second part of the book is, okay, now let's raise our vibration more on par with the energy of God. And once we do that, we could create a better world. And it's all about we rather than me.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing that popped into my mind when you were talking about things that we don't want and how we focus on the lack, not necessarily purposefully, but it just we can't seem to help ourselves, and then that attracts more of the lack. That reminded me something I learned, I think maybe from emergency medical technician or somebody in the healthcare world, something. And he said, I think it was a he, don't ever tell somebody who is going into shock, don't panic. What you tell
Because
them
although
instead
there's
is
panic,
to stay or remain calm, because
yes,
the
positive word.
well, many reasons, but the reason he gave, and I love where you're going with this, but yeah, the vibrational match of remaining calm is so much better. But also, when you're in shock or when you're in high stress, high adrenaline, you're in sympathetic nervous system response, you don't really hear the don't, because your amygdala is in charge. It's kind of hijacked the executive function of the brain, and you're just like on edge, and all you hear is the panic part.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
You
but it
know, there are those who do vision boards, and I always tell them how to do a vision board. A vision board is to put on a vision board everything you wish to create. And on the vision board, it should be present tense, positive words. Don't write any words like I don't want this. Don't do that. Say, or it will happen. You say, I am abundant. I have the perfect job. I bring joy to people through my work, whatever it is. And you put positive, present tense things on your vision boards. I've had people create amazing things with their vision boards. But what I'm very excited about is to teach people how to do it for themselves. But even more important, how to create a better world. That's
yeah,
what my point is in this book. But once they see it, they say, "Wow, I could really do this." Then let's. They won't do it before they understand how to do it themselves for themselves.
yeah.
Because if they are in a state of lack, they want to get the perfect job. They want to get the perfect relationship before they could create peace on earth. I hope that makes sense. They don't.
It
That
totally
doesn't.
does, and I think this is a big distinguishing kind of distinction that I made a little while ago about the law of attraction and how it works. And that is, it really does you have to have the faith that it already has manifested, that it has been fulfilled. Because if you
Right.
didn't have the fulfillment already occurring, you wouldn't have the desire for it. If you hadn't tasted the fulfillment, you wouldn't desire it. You already have it, or it's already manifested. You just can't see it yet. That requires kind of acting as if and believing that it's there, and not that it's coming or not that it will come. That gets back to your thing of getting into the present tense and not future tense. It already is here, because if
Exactly.
not, then you're bringing in the lack consciousness and pushing the thing away.
Exactly. In other words, you have to have the faith that all the great masters talked about. You have to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And if you could feel that feeling and feel as if it's happening now, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
It's done. Act as if it's happened already. What would you do different? What are you doing differently now that it's happened? And then the universe works in ways to make it happen. It's incredible. I mean, I've seen amazing things. People, some of my clients heal from. I have one woman stage 4 lung cancer, another one who has multiple myeloma. By assuming the feeling of being healed, people get, women getting pregnant, whereas before they could not. A woman, I could go on, but I can't get in their head, but I could teach them how to do it. They can't just say, I want this, because they will always be in the state of wanting.
Mm-hmm.
I want this. So, no, that doesn't work. I have the perfect job. I have the perfect soulmate. My perfect soulmate loves me unconditionally. I love him unconditionally. He's available. You have to say all the things you desire, present tense, positive words, as if it's happening now. Exactly what you said.
Yeah, my understanding of how this works is everything is already planned out. We have all these soul contracts or soulmate. If he or she hasn't arrived yet in the physical plane, that person is right around the corner, essentially on the side of the stage where they haven't come to the front of the stage yet. They haven't entered the scene yet, but they're already the actor or player in the movie or the play. They've been identified. They've come on set. They're just waiting for the right moment. Yeah, so these are soul contracts, and so we can call this person into our lives because we've already made a soul contract with them that you're my soulmate for this lifetime.
Exactly. May I share a funny story?
Please.
So a woman came to see me several years ago, and as she was for an appointment, and as I do Reiki healing on them, and I receive messages, but she was saying to me, I am destined to be alone the rest of my life. So I said, if you're saying that, that's exactly what's going to happen. She said, what do you mean? And I explained that you have to watch your words, say what you desire. I'm with the person I should be, my perfect soulmate. And I told her to do a vision board. Now, this is a real story. This even blew my mind, and I've seen everything. So as soon as she left the office, she did a vision board. And on the vision board, she put a picture of somebody that's really cute online, a really nice looking person. And she sent it to me. And that was all she put on the vision board. That was it. So she sent it to me, and I called her back. I said, she told me I could share her story. Her name was Jen. And I said, Jen, you have to put more than this, And what she said was, if he looks like this, I don't care what he's like.
Okay.
So guess what happened? This is an amazing story. Again, this is going in the book. So she called me back a few weeks later and said, oh my gosh, this really works. I said, I know it does. What happened? And she said she joined Match.com, and some gentleman called her and they were on the phone, and she said, what do you do for a living? He said he was a model. And she said, what do you model? And it happened to be the very same person she put on her vision board.
Yeah.
Same person. So what do you think I'm going to say? He wasn't nice. He wasn't her perfect soulmate. And she called me, and I said to her, but what did you say? You said, I don't care as long as he looks like that. Now, do another one. This works. And on it say, he loves me unconditionally. I love him unconditionally. He's available. And she's, she was quiet a little bit, and she said, can I say he makes a lot of money and he supports me? I said, you could put whatever you want on there as long as you say he loves me unconditionally and vice versa, and he's available. She said, and can I say that he travels with me? And I said, you could say whatever you want, but just put those qualities. So she did that. I didn't hear from her in about a year. And January before the pandemic, her and this gentleman came to her appointment together. They had just gotten married. He was the CEO of a company, loved her unconditionally. They were traveling in his plane all over the country, and they loved each other unconditionally. He's amazing. So that's a real story. So what I would say to people is to put out exactly what you desire, present tense, positive words. Very important.
Yeah.
Crazy story, right?
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I love the way the universe works, and
Yep.
it's also exquisite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we are magnets, and we attract exactly what we're feeling, not just what we're thinking, but what we're feeling. So you could be saying, I have the perfect soul, or I am abundant, but you feel poor. You'll never receive the money or the abundance. That abundance is not only money, but if you say that, you have to say, I am abundant, even though you don't think you are at this point, and assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, as you said before.
So what if somebody is having trouble with that? And they're like, that's crazy to me. I can't imagine myself rich because I'm eating ramen noodles or whatever the thing is that
Yeah.
they're trying to manifest, but they're in that consciousness of lack, and they just can't seem to suspend disbelief, even just for a little bit.
Yeah, I would tell them number one, the first thing you need to do is practice gratitude. Because when you're grateful for things that are in your life, the more things will come into your life for which to be grateful. And going through this, writing this book, as I incorporate all the stories with my readings and appointments and people I know, I'm also reading every single book I can on the topic. And Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret, but she wrote a book called The Magic, and it's on Audible. So every morning I was listening to her. She has this amazing gratitude exercise. She said a habit is formed if you do something for 28 days, the same thing for 28 days. And if you do that for 28 days, you change and everything in your life will change. So she says the first thing you do for 28 days, first thing in the morning, you write down 10 things that you're grateful for. First thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. Now, here's the thing. You cannot say the same thing twice. After the second day, you cannot say that what you said the first day, or on the third day, you can't say anything twice. So that's great. The first day, you're writing 10 things, your health, people in your lives, whatever else is in your life, everything's wonderful. By the second day, too. But by the third day, you're up to 30 now. So when I was doing this, I said, oh my gosh, things that you take for granted. I'm able to see. I'm able to hear. I'm grateful for the air. I'm grateful for the hot water in the shower. I'm grateful for the air conditioning. I'm grateful for, I was up to the point where, on day 10, day 20, the bathroom mat. I mean, I was getting everything that I was grateful for. And you get into a different frame of reference. Every single thing in my life now is to the point where, oh, if something bad happens, but I'm grateful that whatever else, right? This is what's happening. And you get into a different feeling, a different consciousness. And the more things you're grateful for, then more good things will come into your life. And it doesn't end there. She also said at the end of the day to get a rock or a crystal or something that you feel comfortable holding, put it near your bedstand. And right before you go to bed, you'll see it. You go to bed, you see that stone, the rock, you pick it up and you say, what are the best things that happened today? And what's the absolute best things that happened today? So you're going to first thing in the morning, things that you're grateful for, last thing before you go to sleep. It changes your life. And everything that comes into your life from that point on is a state of being grateful for. So that's how you create abundance. Even if you don't have the money, what are you grateful for? You can see, you can hear, the air that you breathe, whatever it is, the people in your life, and everything changes just by that state of consciousness.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what would be an example of a miracle or something amazing that happened for you because of these exercises?
Well, I love to teach at different venues. So I've been teaching at Omega for a long time, for 3 years now, and we're teaching the same one next year as well. And just recently, I've been very grateful for that. And now I came across a person who said she wanted to get me into Kripalu. I'm trying to say that right. In East,
Kripalu? I'm not sure how to pronounce
whatever
it
it
either.
is. And I was just thinking, I would love to be there. And then here comes this person saying she would love, she knows somebody that works there and would love to get me in. I said, oh, it just falls right into place. It
Yeah.
just does, because I'm grateful for what I have now with Omega. So that kind of just fell right into place. It's amazing
Are you interested in doing a TED Talk or a TEDx talk?
to do that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to do it yet and where to go. Do you have the info?
Well,
Think-
I don't I haven't
Yeah.
done one personally yet, but a TEDx talk is a lot easier to get than a TED Talk.
Okay.
And I think the most important thing about a TEDx talk is that it's going to be recorded with high quality video and audio, because that's really the thing. It's not the presentation on stage to that audience. It's after the fact, having the recording reach hopefully millions of people on the TEDx YouTube channel?
I think the universe, God, or whoever just told you to tell me that, because I'm just open to everything right now. Because I'm willing. What I've been saying, my affirmation is, I want to reach more people, help more people through my work. Thank you for that.
So, what is your position on um, on aliens or star beings? Because it's not hard for somebody to accept that there are angels. Hopefully, they're accepting
Yeah.
that's a reality, but not so much that aliens or star beings exist. What do you tell somebody who's maybe
Oh,
curious, but not that believing in it?
I love that question, because if we look up in the sky, we see that Earth is not the only planet. And it may have life as we know it, but life as we know it, life exists on all the other planets as well. I know that without a doubt. I've had experience, and that's a different subject. But not all planets or dimensions are peaceful. Not all are not peaceful. It's just like human beings. So I call them extra celestials rather than extraterrestrials. And we can connect with them as well as angels. And they're here right now on our planet to create a better world, to create peace in our lives, peace in the world. They see what's happening. We don't want to destroy our planet, climate and all that. And they're here trying to help us to make a difference, to stop the negativity and to create a better world. So you may not say, oh, that's an extraterrestrial. You may not look at a person and say, that's an extra celestial, but you could see by what they're saying, this is what, they come strong. They become a very strong activist for whatever it is that peace on earth. Peace on earth is very important right now.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm noticing a lot of is discussion in the media and with government about UFOs, or what they call, I guess, UAPs.
Yes.
I forget what UAP stands for, but anyways, it's just another name for UFO. What's your take on all that this is becoming so hot right now?
Well, my take is I'm not surprised at all, but in my world, they don't need a UFO. They come as spirit as well as just as the angels do. And they are here trying to create change on our planet as well. And not everybody's open to that. But it doesn't surprise me at all. We're not the only planet with life as we know it, perhaps, but not at all. What do you feel about it? I'm curious.
Well, my sense of it is that, or my understanding of it is that there are star beings who have incarnated as human to help us in this momentous time that we're going through. There are star beings in the higher level dimensions that hang out in energy and not as matter, and then they maybe can jump down to a lower dimension, or to slow down their speed enough to maybe materialize, perhaps. But those are more higher dimensional. And then there are ones that are incarnated in their species, and whatever kind of technology that they have is hidden from us, and some of it is actually known by the government, and that's my understanding of it, but I could be wrong. So
I agree. I don't know why they're covering it up, though. That's the question. I think they think people would be afraid, maybe, about this, but
perhaps, or perhaps this is a power play so that they can maintain a technological advantage using alien tech for as long as they can without their enemies or adversaries having that same technology, or even knowledge that the particular government has that technology.
that's interesting. Yeah. But if they realize the majority of those who are coming, or the star seeds, the star people who are here to create change in a peaceful way. So it's not about the technology, it's about raising consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, the way I put it, or the way I like to think about it, is it's about cleaving to God. So raising
Yes,
consciousness for the purpose of cleaving to God, to be more and more
exactly.
like him and to be closer and closer to him.
Exactly.
Because the other direction is just illusion, because we're all of God. Everything has consciousness. Everything is made of God. There's nothing that exists that is independent of God, or has ever existed or ever will exist that is independent of God or not of God.
Correct. That's Course in Miracles.
Yeah, and it's the Bible too. Like,
Yes, correct.
it's every foundational religion that I know of teaches that God is, well, that I guess maybe there are religions that I don't know about, but my understanding of it is that God is one. And that's not just Judeo-Christian religions that believe that. So yeah, I find this all very fascinating and amazing to apply this on a practical level and think about, all right, if I have a children's toy laying on the floor that I just accidentally stepped on and hurt my foot, I wonder if that toy has enough consciousness that it feels hurt too, or that maybe it didn't want to be stepped on or something. I'm just, it gets your mind thinking about how does this wild experience of reality actually work, because it's not just what meets the eyes, what logically makes sense. That's the game. It's like it's a video game and there are so many levels to it. I just keep discovering newer and newer and higher levels of it. So it's a lot of
It's
fun.
that's true. Absolutely.
So what would be
We,
something that is counterintuitive, perhaps surprising to you, that you've discovered or experienced?
oh, that's something I have to think about. Something that, well, I don't understand why people would want to harm. I mean, that might not be what you're asking, but why would people want to harm other people? I don't understand it. And they don't see how their actions are affecting others. And, I try not to get frustrated. I just like, because I'm trying to see through their eyes too. Maybe they had a hard, difficult childhood and so forth, but I don't understand it. I just wish everybody would see through the eyes of God, and truly their lives would be so much better as well. But it's up to them. And why would somebody not want to forgive somebody? Well, they say, because surely if this person did this to me, I'm entitled to be angry at them. And sure, they're entitled to be angry. But I always use the saying that Wayne Dyer used, it's not the snake bite that kills us, it's the venom that's left behind. So if you don't want to forgive for them, forgive for you. And you will see, you will feel better. You're not holding on to this negativity. And I just want everybody to hear that and to understand, but you can't force anything on anyone. And I realize that.
Yeah. So one thing that really stuck for me, I recently saw this video on Facebook. It's a little clip of Bashar, who
Oh,
is channeled by Daryl Anka.
okay.
And what he said, how he explained the universe, is that if you have fear of the unknown is actually just more of you.
Hmm. Interesting.
Everything that you don't know or haven't experienced is just all more of you that you get to experience. He said that the universe is your universe. It's all you. There's nothing but you. There, even the people that you love and care for, and they're part of your family, your soul family. They're a version of themselves that showed up in your universe. It's not them, it's a version of them. It's your version of them. So everything in your universe is you.
Is this the same as, well, we are all connected? And it's not, after you leave the physical body, you're able to see that connection in an instant. You could feel your connection to everyone and everything, and your connection with God and so forth. We can't usually feel that when we're in the physical body, only when we're meditating.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what you're saying? Because everything is a
That's
part of
part of it. That's like a
it.
corollary to it. But what I
Right.
got out of this is that it's like if I have somebody in my life who is an enemy or some sort of adversarial force in my life, they're doing that as a gift for me. They're playing that role as a supporting actor in my movie, even though that's not who they truly are.
I see what you're
And
saying.
in their
Yes.
universe, they are a different version of them. They're the observer. They're running that universe, that simulation, and they're working with whoever the supporting actors are in that movie who are doing different things and acting in different ways that supports that person's universe. So if your universe is full of you and all the supporting actors are versions of themselves that are really just, we're all one, we're all part of God. So we are all not just connected, but we're all,
Girl, right?
together. We're just all one. And
Yes.
I love that distinction. It's so much more precise for me than simply we're all connected.
Oh, it's very deep. But also what I feel is any person in your life, no matter good, bad, or indifferent, whatever they're doing to you, difficult to say, but you've created that
Mm-hmm.
through your thoughts. So not on purpose sometimes. You create it by default, what you don't want, but it's part of the plan, part of what you're putting out.
Yeah.
So that's hard to understand too. But that's what we're talking about too, that we are vibrational beings. Whatever we're thinking and feeling, we're creating. I could tell you another story, but can we have time.
Please,
Yes.
please. We have a couple more minutes. Yeah.
So in order to connect with deceased loved ones and the angels, you have to keep your vibration high and to be more on par with the energy of who they are. So several years ago, I had a client who was very negative in my eyes. I know nobody's negative, but she'd come to see me and say she wanted to kill everybody and she hated everybody. And in my thoughts, I was saying, I don't want that. I don't want that. And I was saying that. And by saying what we said before, I don't want that, the universe brought it on me and started to treat me in a different way. I've never been treated like that before. And during that time, I was still able to connect with deceased loved ones, but I couldn't feel the angels because I was angry. I was ranting and raving, and I was so upset and so forth. I will never forget this. I went for a walk with my dog, Duke. And as I'm walking the dog, I'm saying in my head, angels, I know you could hear me, but I can't hear you. I know you could hear me, but I can't hear you. And with that, I was guided to look up at the sky and I saw clouds in the formation of an ear with a finger in it.
Hmm.
And because I was ranting and raving and I was so upset, I didn't even understand what that meant. I didn't. So I continued to walk. I said, that's so silly in my mind. That's so silly. What are you trying to say to me? And all of a sudden, I started to hear the birds, how beautiful it was springtime. I heard to hear, it was just so beautiful. I tuned into the beautiful flowers that were just blooming. And as I got closer to my house, I felt the love coming from my house or of my family. And only then did I understand what the message was from the angels. When I was angry and upset and ranting and raving, I couldn't even understand what they were saying. I had my finger in my ear. But when I was able to raise my vibration to who I really am, God within me, pure love with the birds and the flowers and my family, I could understand what they were saying. I had my finger in my ear. And when I was doing that, then I was able to hear them when I was more on par with the energy of the angels and the energy of God. And
Mhm.
so it is with all of us. So don't keep your finger in your ear, you know. be more on par with the energy of who you really are, which is God within you.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I learned about that's beautiful. And I learned this rather recently, like in the last year or so, is that your environment is populated, but let's say that you're doing a reading either for yourself or for somebody and you're connected, you're normally getting, let's say, clairaudience or normally clairvoyance or whatever. Well, that's not the only way that you are being communicated with from the upper worlds. It's also the environment that you're in. You just happen to look out the window and you see an ibis eating in the grass.
Right.
And you're like, okay, that isn't random. So what does that mean? Or you glance at the clock and it's 4:57 p.m. and oh, that means something. So you have to decode. Well, you don't have to. I mean, you get to decode these messages that are part of the whole message. It's those movie theaters at like amusement parks where they claim it's 4D, where you get to experience getting wet or whatever when it's a scene with a storm or whatever. It's like that. It's like it is full immersion. You're getting messages from all the different sources and from the environment, everything. So pretty wild.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. I know. I call them signs too, without a doubt signs. They love to give us signs, like as the deer outside the window or a butterfly lands on you, or you're driving and the car cuts you off and on the license plate, it's your loved one's name or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's
And
amazing.
we talked all about that. I love that. That was such an important thing for me to learn from you from the webinar that you did like 2020, I think it was, or 2021 when I watched that webinar. And then I invited you on my podcast and everything. Yeah, you've made a big difference in my life. And it really started with asking for without a doubt signs.
Yeah, so important. And
Yeah.
as soon then you have to be patient and wait, and the sign will come when you least expect it,
Hmm.
but it will come.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So if our listener wants to learn more from you, get your books and attend your courses and everything, where should we send them to?
They could go to my website at KarenNoe.com. That's KarenNoe.com, or social media, Karen Noe author.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Karen. And thank you, listener. Thank you for being open-minded and interested in the unseen world. We'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.